Hey there, folks. It's the E-Man here. Yeah, I had to work like a night shift at work last night, which I normally don't have to work on Saturday. Excuse me, on Saturdays. So it's been. Plus, I played through Metroid Prime 4 and a new Terminator game. Yeah, I was hoping to talk about the first three Metroid Prime games, and I had wanted to show gameplay footage. I had been wanting to use, but I had some issues with my computer and some hiccups or whatever, and well, the Prime hack, I can launch it, but I can only launch one game, and then for some odd reason, I can't, it's like, some of the buttons are weird on it because I'm using the Prime hack to play these games in HD. There's a little, some performance issues, so I'll probably have to figure out how to get that fixed, but I thought it would be better if I just talked about them. I've seen many YouTubers, there's plenty of footage out there of these games, but let me just say my opinions or how I remember these. I can remember when I first played the first Metroid Prime game. Yeah, the first one. And remember, we had been on. There had been a long hiatus. I mean, there hadn't really been a game since Super Metroid. It was like Samus's ultimate Samus Returns moment was a Metroid Prime. It's like a distress signal from a station above Talon 4, and then like a space scene, and then we're like, ooh! I remember being so excited, so giddy about Samus is going to show up, and we're going to like go on an adventure like we've never seen before. Yeah, the GameCube was becoming popular. The N64 was long in the tooth. You know, and it was quite a thing too. Well, not only did we get Metroid Prime, but then we also got Metroid Fusion as well. We got a 2D installment, preferably one of my favorite ones. I love all of them. Yeah, so of course, the first game for me, there's a lot of nostalgia because I remember. I remember. I think my dad got it for me for my birthday. I think, like, yeah, it was cool. And then there was a way to like link it with the Game Boy Advance to your GameCube, so then you could unlock special things in Metroid Prime. I think you get a suit skin or something or whatever. Yeah, but it's like Metroid Prime fully set the stage for what this was going to be. And Retro Studios really knocked it out of the park with this game. Like, very impressive that. But, it's kind of sad it took so long, but eventually we did. We did get it. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia for this game, but well, the premise is, you go to Talon, Samus just picks up a distress signal, goes to investigate it, uncovers a frigate floating above the planet of Talon 4, and it's apparent that the space pirates are up to something, So Samus just kind of wanders upon them, distress signal, and of course, it was cool, like the scan visor to activate things. Use the scan visor to find out, because you see all these dead space pirates, so you can try to piece together what happened on your own, like you're a detective investigating what's going on. Of course, you've got morph ball, you got missiles. I mean, this stage, the first stage, is kind of like gets you used to the controls. Even the first part, you have to try the lock on, to teach you how to get used to the controls. Like this is like a full on major thing. Yeah, it's like wow. Yeah, then you go to Talon 4, and it's always this feeling of isolation. And Samus is all by herself. She has to figure out how to do all of this. A big nitpick I have of Metroid Prime, of course, is the backtracking. I think I remember that. You have to do a lot of backtracking later in the game. It can be a little frustrating, but it's still Metroid Prime. I think is still a great game. Well, of course, when you go down to, you see Ridley, you chase him down to the planet's surface, and then Samus, like, of course, she gets injured on the frigate before she escapes, so she loses all her abilities. So your Samus is out over high tech gadgets, and you gotta go. Of course, the Chizoa once resided on this world, and you got to explore the world of Talon 4 and figure out what happened to the Chizoa, what's going on now. And of course, what the game is named after, the ultimate enemy, the Metroid Prime, some superpowered Metroid creature that lies in Town 4, and the Chizoa managed to imprison it to hopefully wait for Samus to show up so that she can destroy it. Yeah, the Chizoa seemed to, they had foresight and were able to foresee Samus's coming to their world of Town 4. And hopefully you can destroy because supposedly a comet hit their planet, and then asteroid hit their planet, and then it phase on, and it's like it's a terrible radioactive substance, and the space pirates are, of course, well, later games they experiment with it, but yeah, they're kind of experimenting how to mutate certain creatures. So some of the creatures have like kind of yeah, some of their creatures went nuts and whatnot. Yeah, it says you're pretty much by yourself. You know, it's just cool. Yeah, the fight with Ridley's cool, and many different things. It's like I like how the final boss, Metroid Prime, you have to switch between weapons and different. You get beam upgrades and missile like super missile abilities with these beams. So it's like yeah, it was pretty much pretty interesting thing. You could switch between the different beams. They don't stack on top of each other like a lot of Metroid games do. Okay, so that was Metroid Prime 1. Let's talk about Metroid Prime 2. Yeah, I remember like I had to go to Best Buy to get a copy of Metroid Prime 2 because for some odd reason GameStop didn't have a copy of it. This is way back when. Yeah, and then not only did we get Metroid Prime 2, but I think we also got Metroid Zero Mission kind of around the same time. So it's like we kind of did that too, where we have a 3D Metroid Prime game and then we have a regular 2D. But of course, Metroid Zero Mission was like a remaster of the very first Metroid game. Which I love the original Metroid, but it was good that it finally had kind of an update to it. Yeah, and of course, Metroid Prime 2, Samus is going to the planet because, especially some Galactic Federation troopers are on the planet and they have a distress signal, and she has to go to this world to find out what's going on. Of course, when Samus tries to enter the atmosphere, something happens, or there's some weird anomaly with the planet, and her ship is severely damaged, and she has to land. Eventually, you discover that this is the homeworld of a very advanced race, which they're still there. So Samus has a chance to help them, and I guess they've been battling the evil Ing. So their planet has been separated between light and dark worlds. So you kind of have to go to the dark world, and you have to try to figure stuff out. Of course, we are fully introduced to Dark Samus in this one, like a dark version of Samus, which seems like an ironic kind of thing. The light and dark worlds, Samus is kind of to fight the evil of herself, kind of. Yeah, to fight herself if she had been evil or something. Of course, you go there, you meet Dark Samus, and all of a sudden, Samus is dogpiled by all the Ing, and then, of course, she loses all of her abilities. In the Dark World, you have to shoot these light posts. Yeah, because the atmosphere of the Dark World hurts you, so. Eventually, you get suit upgrades. You get the black suit that helps you a little bit, but then the light suit just makes you completely invulnerable to the environment. I think there was very unique weapons. Of course, now you have the light and dark beam, and then like nova beams and a few other beams. I feel like Metroid Prime 2 is set up. You pretty much get almost all of the collectibles and everything pretty quick. I mean, they're mostly right there. Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of specific upgrades, very unique abilities that you get in this particular game. Metroid Prime 2 almost has a kind of feeling of like Majora's Mask did from Ocarina of Time. It's a great game, but it has a kind of a different, darker, a more darker tone to this game. Well, eventually, Samus is able to travel to these, you know, she has to travel to these different, these different, what do they call them? They call them shrines, or I mean temples, and she has to go get the light power that the Ing have stolen. Samus, hopefully, well, eventually Samus, fights the main Ing, and then she fights Dark Samus, and you think, "Yay, Dark Samus is destroyed," or whatever. And then yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of forget what the race's name is, but yeah, that was a silly thing, but I haven't actually played that game for a while. But Samus is eventually able to save their planet. She's able to save their planet and save that race, and yeah, then Metroid Prime 2 is pretty much done. I think Metroid Prime 2 is a great game, but I still don't think it's as good as the first one is. Now, here we go. Now we're going to talk about the final game, Metroid Prime 3, Corruption. What a unique title for that. Well, as it opens up, Samus is approaching the Earth Federation fleet. No, I mean the Galactic Federation fleet, excuse me. Yeah, and essentially we finally get to see, like, what does the forces of the Galactic Federation look like? What do the personnel look like? We get a sense of what it's like to be an officer serving on board one of their ships. Like, what do their ships look like? What does the technology of the Galactic Federation look like? And then, of course, we got full-on characters with dialogue, and we're, of course, introduced to these organic computer Alora units that we find out they run this whole kind of neuro net of the Galactic Federation, and then some viruses happen. Because supposedly the space pirates managed to capture a Galactic Federation ship, and they were able to remove its Alora unit and like cause some kind of virus amongst the network. So the network went down, but they were able to cure the one that's on board the ship, the Valhalla that Samus is visiting. No, I think that's the wrecked ship. Yeah. It's kind of unique that Metroid Prime 3 tries to change a few things. I do think a lot of it is there's a lot of weird mechanics with the Wii remote. Twist it, pull it, pop it. It's like, yeah, it was really they really wanted to hit home the motion controls of Metroid Prime 3. Of course, Metroid Prime 3 was released on the Wii, so yeah, they really wanted to do the updated graphics. Well, I mean, not updated graphics, but the controls. And, some people love or hate that idea, but. Okay, well, then the biggest thing happens, there's an alert, because then there's other bounty hunters that have been hired to hopefully figure out what's going on because the space pirates. Well, it makes you feel like the space pirates are really a big threat. The Galactic Federation needs to pull in all of its assets and really try to figure out what's going on. And then there's like, the planet down, yeah, and then you find out that the base of the Galactic Federation is under attack. You got to go down there. You got to turn on its defense system, and you're running out of time, and you got to do it. But it expresses how the bounty hunters react to Samus, and it's like kind of cool. But I warn you, don't get attached to these guys because they're not going to be. But of course, Dark Samus shows up. She contaminates all of them with some phazon energy. Samus is knocked out, but she's able to, just at the last second, be able to get up enough energy to click the button to blow up the Leviathan. So she saves the planet, but then she's out for a month. She finally wakes up, You find out you have the new PED suit because you and the bounty hunters were kind of like infused with phazon energy. So all of a sudden they give you this new PED suit. Essentially, it allows you to do a kind of hyper mode which is a very powerful attack thing, but it's kind of a risk versus reward because you have to inject an energy tank every time you use hyper mode. It doesn't last forever, but it's incredibly powerful. It kind of almost negates any reason to pick up really any of the fighting weapons, really, because yeah. So hyper mode is definitely a unique feature, but sometimes I feel like it kind of made the game too easy because if you try to use regular weapons, it seems to take forever to kill things. Yeah, it's a unique thing, but then of course eventually we get to Samus then the Allura unit sends her on a mission. We go to Bria and we got to figure out what's going on because we got to figure out what happened because they hadn't heard from from these bounty hunters for a while, so they want to know what the hell's going on. To Brio, you see that one of the dudes, and surprise, he appears to have been. He seems to be acting strangely, like he's not, like he's trying to attack you, and you go through this giant battle and fight him, and then when you defeat him, you discover, of course, Dark Samus's like kind of spirit seems to come out of his body, and it's a reference that Dark Samus has supposedly has corrupted all of the other mercenaries, and Samus really can't do anything to save them because Dark Samus, yeah, he gets impaled on icicles. A lot of people thought like maybe he was able to destroy himself, so Dark Samus couldn't use him. We can tell that it takes a toll on Samus, like as we witness multiple times. A lot of times she tries to shoot at it, she can't do anything to Dark Samus. So, so Metroid Prime 3 does seem to be like a very dramatic issue. Yeah, these people were thought as your allies, and now you have to go fight them, and they turn out to not be your allies anymore, and they've been corrupted by Dark Samus is taking complete control over them. So yeah, of course you encounter many of the other ones and defeat them, and yeah, it seems to take a bigger toll on Samus each time, so you have to go through that. Well, eventually, you get to the Space Pirate homeworld, and you go through that. Yeah, you defeat one of the last ones, and then, of course, then the Galactic Federation wants to show up, and then you have to escort these 12 troopers to an area so you can invade their homeworld and figure out what's going on. Eventually, you do go to the Phazon planet. And of course, once you reach there, your corruption kind of goes crazy, and yeah, now you have to like constantly release the energy or you will die. You will become, infected by the Dark Samus. Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing. Yeah, you use the hyper mode a little too much, then you can find yourself game over because Dark Samus then possesses you. So Samus is she's battling this corruption within her as well because a lot of times you see reflection, something's going on in her face. So it's taking a toll on Samus's body. So it's like, it's like you're kind of trapped in some kind of hell where you have this powerful weapon, but it's like at any time it could take you to lose yourself or something. It makes it seem like Samus faces a fate worse than death if she cannot get beyond this. It really added quite a detail to the game. Eventually, you're able to battle the Allura unit that they infected. Take that out, then you fight Dark Samus. And then you supposedly destroyed Dark Samus. Yep, Dark Samus is finally destroyed, and, Samus has saved the galaxy yet again. Well, a lot of these planets, you didn't have to go to other Eliathan seeds that crash. You got to blow those up because they have Phazon based ones that you got to destroy and stuff. Yeah, and Samus's gunship has some unique upgrades, like it can do a bombing run, grapple beam to pick up stuff for you, or you can you call your ship into different landing zones once you unlock them. It was kind of cool, but then I feel like ultimately maybe they weren't really sure what they were doing with the ship. I think it's cool. There's other worlds to go to, so you're not stuck on one planet. You go to all these different worlds, and I get what they were trying to do, and I think somewhat it pays off. But In the end, Samus sends him a transmission, mission complete, and there you go. Metroid Prime 3 was done. I really like Metroid Prime 3. It definitely has its flaws, but I think a lot of it was the story definitely was really great. Well, yeah, and then that first place you do fight Ridley, and that's quite an interesting battle. Yeah, I think you have somewhat of some of your abilities. You don't lose all of your abilities like most times, but as I said before, it's quite a dramatic thing, because Samus is having to deal with this threat. You know, the Galactic Federation feels really bad that they've now put Samus and put the whole galaxy in danger because over something they thought was safe to use. So then it's like your ultimate ability that you have from the beginning of the game is just incredibly deadly to you. It's essentially like seriously hurting Samus, so she has to figure out how to get rid of it. Yeah, on the final stage, you can't even get in your ship. Your ship, like DNA scanners, don't recognize you as Samus anymore. So it's like, yeah, you have to really, fight the corruption and hopefully survive. Yeah, I mean, the name definitely implies quite a bit. So that's basically why I pretty much like Metroid Prime 3. And as I look back, I just, I remember getting Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii, playing the original Wii version. Yeah. It was just cool to play it. It was, it's just, yeah, the Wii remote controls make it a little bit weird. But then they had a Metroid Prime trilogy that got released, as I've already kind of talked about. They these are the first three Prime games were all done for the Wii. Well, of course, the first two that were on the GameCube were redone for the Wii. So that's essentially what the Metroid Prime trilogy is. I heard there's a collector's edition that goes for a lot of money. I have the regular Metroid Prime collection. I don't have the collector's edition, just the regular one. And I also was able to buy it on the Wii U eShop before it went down. So I also have that. It might be better for me to play that version, like capture it from my Wii U. Yeah, the Prime hack is cool, but I guess when I'm running it with, my recording stuff, it seems to malfunction a little bit. Plus, it seemed to be kind of hard to switch between games. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to figure out what the controls are or whatever. Well, and it's unique because I'm using this controller instead of a Wii remote. So yeah, one controls the thing, and it's like some of it doesn't work particularly well, and a lot of the buttons are kind of set up weird. You just have to get used to it. Of course, with the Prime hack, you can set it to use your mouse to move around the gun. So you can set up keyboard and mouse controls, which I may end up doing that. That way, it feels more like a hovering Wii remote than what I'm used to. Yeah, of course we played it, and it was. Well, of course, we had the first Prime game was redone, remastered on the Switch, which is a really great game. But I think one of the best ways to try to play all these Metroid Prime games is to get the Metroid Prime Trilogy collection. Mostly, if you play Wii games are of course compatible on the Wii U, so and then I can play it through HDMI. It's probably not going to look as good as the Prime hack does, but whatever. This is cool. Yes, Metroid Prime 4 was kind of a disappointment for me. It's like I really wanted to like it. I really thought, cool, a motorcycle, but then it's like after playing it, I'm like, I don't know. And Cyrax, the villain, he's not really very well portrayed. I mean, I feel like the story just seems kind of lame. Samus doesn't talk, which is all right, but and then we had the talking characters, which Metroid Prime 3 definitely did that a lot better. I think it did it a lot better. Metroid Prime 3 did it a lot better than 4 did. I think 4 just kind of hit home this kind of weird ideal. Yeah, the ending was kind of like I don't know what I'm supposed to think about the ending. It's like it's cool just helping out an alien race, but I feel like this alien race is a very generic race. A lot of the places you go don't seem like they could have been created by the same race. It does feel like like you don't have much of a choice on where you go because you try to go to other areas. Oh, you got to go get a weapon upgrade or something to get to the area. It's like, and the motorcycle across the desert. I mean, it's fun for a little bit, but then you're like, oh, geez, I have to do this every time I got to go somewhere. And I know I've already done a video talking about Metroid Prime 4, but I'll just express some of the frustrations. So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that Nintendo's got one more shot, I feel. Like, I give them the benefit of the doubt. It had been a while since we had a Metroid Prime game. Maybe Nintendo finally had to just release the game because there isn't much of a choice. Or Nintendo just, yeah, Nintendo is too big for its britches. Maybe they think they can do no wrong. Much like Disney and Marvel, like they think, oh, well, we're going to do this and everyone's going to like it. It's like, this isn't what people want. I, so Cyrax, the story of why he hates Samus is just kind of dumb. I mean, he doesn't hate Samus because his unit got wiped out because Samus intervened. No, it's all simply he's jealous that Samus gets all these missions and Samus does everything. Essentially, in the story, he disobeyed orders, went to attack the Space Pirate weapon. The Space Pirates are like, oh no, we're under attack. So then they react to that, and then they fire the weapon and they wipe out his unit. And then he's mad at Samus. I'm like, why? Why is he not mad at the Space Pirates? It would make more sense if he hated the Space Pirates and Samus. Like, why in 4 all of a sudden he's working with the Space Pirates? They wiped out his unit, not Samus. So his whole hating of Samus really makes no sense. So he has this like hard on to try to kill Samus all the time, and I'm like, what? It doesn't even make any sense. At the end of Metroid Prime 3, if you get 100% completion, you see his ship. Supposedly, I thought, oh, it's cool, he's following her, but that's about it. And I feel like there's certain people wanting to put him in the story, and he's not a very good villain at all. I don't. You fight him a couple times, but he just feels like more of an annoyance than an actual threat or something. Yeah, so it's like you fight him. He's the ending boss, and it's like it's a little bit cool, but it feels like I'm playing something different than playing Metroid. Like I'm playing something completely different. Yeah, it's just it was still a great game, but I don't really think I'm going to feel like trying to play through it again. Might try to play through it to get it done faster or whatever, but whatever. So basically, what we can be left with here is that the Metroid Prime trilogy, I think, is one of the greatest trilogies in gaming, I believe. Yeah, I think it really is. It was quite impressive what Retro Studios did back then, but I don't know if half the people at Retro Studios that worked on these games are not there anymore, and that's why they kind of let us down with Metroid Prime 4. So I wish I had known what the Bandai Namco version of Metroid Prime 4 would have been. But, well, this is what Nintendo does a lot of times with IPs. They just make us wait forever for them, and then they come out, and then they're not what we expected. Like Star Fox Zero, I really tried to like that game, but it's just a lot of issues with that game. It was like we had no Star Fox forever, and then we get a Star Fox game, and it's like not implemented very well. Of course, the Wii U didn't sell well. Nintendo had a lot of fiascos back then. So. But the Metroid Prime trilogy was, of course, the greatest thing I think that Nintendo released for the Wii. I think. Yeah, I mean, usually we didn't get collections like that very often, so it was very impressive. So yes, the Metroid Prime trilogy is definitely something that you want to get if you don't mind the Wii controls, the Wii control updates or whatever. And of course, I've heard a lot of these versions of different ways, but yeah, the Metroid Prime trilogy, the whole trilogy was really great. Metroid Prime 4, I just, like, ouch. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I hope you guys like this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And feel free to leave any comments about what you feel about the Metroid Prime trilogy. Is it really as good as I seem to think it is, or is it just nostalgia talking? Well, I will leave it to you guys to have your own opinion about the Metroid Prime trilogy, but I think it's one of the greatest trilogies in gaming. You know, I recently started playing it again, and it's like I forget. Metroid Prime 4 made me think about, oh, gee, I should go back and play some of the older Metroid games, the Prime games, and see, where Metroid Prime 4 really needs to step up. Yeah, I don't know. But hopefully, if we get Metroid Prime 5, they're going to fix this and whatever. This guy, yeah, he could have been fixed. He really, the bad guy character, Prime 4, he could have been fixed. Skyrex, he could have been fixed. They could have changed the storyline or something to make him be like more of a villain. Instead, he just seems like more of just some dude who wants to kill Samus. Like, it's not really. He doesn't have any arching plan to take over the universe. He just wants to kill Samus. Like, gaining almost godlike powers, but he just still wants to just kill Samus. It's like, he doesn't want to take over the universe, be immortal or anything. He just wants to kill Samus. It's like, whatever. Well, I'll see you guys later then. Catch you guys later. Bye.